At the height of global fame, when everything looked perfect, when the world saw only goals, trophies, and greatness, a story from the past came back. Not from the pitch, not from football, but from a hotel room in a city thousands of miles away. This is the story of how Cristiano Ronaldo faced one of the most controversial legal cases of his life and how it nearly changed everything. In 2009, Cristiano Ronaldo was already becoming a global icon. He had just completed a record-breaking move to Real Madrid, a transfer that confirmed his place among football's elite. Everything was moving forward. New club, new expectations, a career entering its most important phase. But far away from Spain, in Las Vegas, a moment would later become the center of global attention. During the off-season, Ronaldo traveled to the United States. Like many athletes, it was a break, a moment to relax away from the intensity of football, the lights of Las Vegas, the nightlife, the freedom that comes with being young, rich, and famous. But according to a woman named Catherine Mayorga, something happened during that trip. She later alleged that Ronaldo assaulted her in a hotel room. At the time, the incident was reported to the police. There was an investigation, but without sufficient evidence, no charges were filed. The case went quiet. For the public, nothing happened. For Ronaldo, life moved on. And not just moved on, it exploded. He went on to win Champions League titles, Ballon d'Or awards, and became one of the most recognized athletes on the planet. To millions of fans, Ronaldo represented discipline, success, and perfection. The past stayed buried, or at least it seemed that way, because some stories don't disappear, they wait. And years later, when the timing is right, they return. Nearly a decade later, in 2018, the story came back. But this time, it didn't come quietly. A civil lawsuit was filed in the United States. Suddenly, Cristiano Ronaldo wasn't just in the news for football. He was at the center of a global controversy. Media outlets across the world began reporting the allegations. Headlines spread quickly. Social media exploded. And just like that, a private matter became a public storm. The timing couldn't have been worse. Ronaldo had just made a major move to Juventus FC. A fresh start. A new challenge. But instead of focusing only on football, the spotlight shifted. From goals to questions, Ronaldo responded publicly. He strongly denied the allegations, calling them false and damaging. At the same time, reports surfaced about a financial settlement that had allegedly taken place years earlier. This added another layer to the story. To some people, it raised suspicion. To others, it was simply a private legal resolution. But in cases like this, perception becomes everything, and perception is rarely controlled. Sponsors watched carefully. Fans argued endlessly. Some stood by him completely. Others began to question everything. For the first time in years, Ronaldo's image, the carefully built reputation, was under serious pressure. Not because of performance, not because of football, but because of something that allegedly happened years before. And as the case continued, one thing became clear. This was no longer just a legal issue, it was a battle for reputation. As the legal process moved forward, the case entered a more complex stage. This was not a criminal trial. It was a civil lawsuit, and that difference mattered. In civil cases, the focus is not on proving guilt beyond reasonable doubt, but on legal arguments, evidence, and procedure. Over time, the case became less about headlines and more about technical details. Then in 2022, a major turning point came. A U.S. law judge dismissed the case. For Ronaldo, this was a legal victory. But the reason behind the dismissal made things more complicated. The case was not dismissed because the court fully examined and ruled on the core allegation. Instead, it was dismissed due to issues related to how certain evidence had been obtained and handled. That detail changed everything. Because while the case ended legally, the questions didn't fully disappear. For Ronaldo, it meant he could move forward without an ongoing legal battle. But in the court of public opinion, things are never that simple. Some saw it as proof that the case had no standing. Others believed it left unanswered questions. That's the reality of high-profile controversies. They don't always end with clarity. They end with interpretation. Despite everything, Ronaldo continued his career, scoring goals, breaking records, maintaining his place among football's greatest players. But this case became part of his story, not the defining chapter, but a chapter that showed something different, that even the biggest stars can face moments that test more than their talent.